compass left behind, it'll only slow us down. Your heart will be your guide. Raise the sails and take the helm. It's time for some One Piece, but not reactions right now. We are doing the top 5 moments of episodes 300 to 400. So, hi, I'm Gent. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I do reaction videos to One Piece on this channel. And I, after every 100 episodes of One Piece, do a top 5 moments from that group of episodes here. And what I'll do is I'll talk about them a bit, and normally when I'm talking about them I try to cut in like little clips from my reactions. Of course, if you want to go watch the reactions themselves, you can go onto this channel and find the appropriate clips. And if you want to watch the full-length versions of the reactions, those will be on my Patreon account down in the description below. I'm excited to get into this because this 100 group of episodes went by so quickly. Like, I feel like I just made the previous video and now we're already doing another group of 100 episodes moments. And I will tell you, in making this list, in making my top 5 moments here, it was just like with 200 to 300, there was a lot of contention. Like, there were a lot of crazy moments, a lot that didn't make the cut that I'm actually really sad that didn't make the cut. And I'll talk about those, you know, when I get to the honorable mention section, where I'll talk about the main ones that didn't make the cut. But also, I feel like with the first 100 episodes and the next 100 episodes and the next 100 episodes, all of those, I have thought the #1 spot was somewhat cut and dry. Like, I had decided on the #1 spot and I knew what it was and I didn't falter on that. Today's top 5, I think I could have put any of these 5 in the #1 spot for different reasons. So this is a very loose ranking. These 5 were in heavy contention, all for my favorite moment of these 100 episodes. So this list may be very different from your list, very different from a lot of other people's lists, or it might be exactly the same. I guess we're going to find out as we jump into it, because I don't look at what other people think are their favorite moments. I think back to what I enjoyed the most, and that's how we do this. So yeah, we're going to be getting into this, but yeah, make sure to support the video if you can. If you like these videos, I mean, especially ones like these top 5 moment, they take a little more time. So if you could support this video, share it around to other people who might like One Piece, and of course subscribe to the channel so that you can see my upcoming One Piece reactions, because there are some really good reactions upcoming, so keep your eyes peeled. But without further ado, let's jump into this. This is my top 5 moments from episodes 300 to 400. Here we go. We're starting at number 5. That's right, we do it in classic countdown fashion, going from 5 to 1. So at number 5, we have, this is a pretty recent moment, the reveal of the 11 supernovas. Oh, there's more? Oh, shit. Whoa, who's that? Who's that pink-haired lady? That is the 11 rookie pirates that are all, you know, badasses with high bounties that were all on the Sabaody archipelago all at once. And this moment, I adored it. I had such a great time with this moment. I mean, it's exactly the sort of thing I want out of One Piece, really. People have told me that this moment was because of an editor or editors saying, you know, this might get a little dry and you should add in a bunch of new characters to make the story pop more. And so Oda just created all of these characters just like in one chapter, basically. And it was amazing. Oh my god, tell me more about her. She's a female Luffy, but even more gluttonous. Jewelry Bonnie? So, firstly, just the fact that there are so many new characters that are all being shown at once, I love that because it allows like us to just learn about people, and we get to get excited about different aspects, you know? Like, I am a person who I love female characters, so I see someone like Bonnie and I start going like, oh my gosh, okay, what's the potential of that character? But someone else might, you know, see someone like Law and hear his like voice, which is like a really cool Levi's voice from Attack on Titan, as several people have told me. It got a very cool voice. And like those people would be like, oh my god, I want to learn more about this guy, you know? And you can do that with any of those characters. They've all got pretty sick designs, and we learn like little bits and pieces about them from the text that comes up on screen, but we don't really know, you know, what their deal is yet, and that's awesome. And some of those characters they kind of use right away or very soon, and other of those characters, as of the time I'm recording this video, I still don't know much about, you know? And I think that's a really cool thing to do. Yeah, their powers seem like really unique and interesting. It gives the fan base a lot of room for speculation, which I think is really fun as well. Like, you look at a character, I mean, I don't get to engage as much in it because obviously I'm watching this show way after these episodes come out, so I don't get to like talk with fans about, oh, what do you think they do? I think they do this, but what do you think? Like, I can't do that, but it does like make me speculate in my head of, okay, this is a character that looks maybe like they can do this. Like, I've already speculated about what I think Bonnie's powers are, and yet I don't think they've been confirmed, but we've seen them in action kind of. So like there's a lot of stuff going on there, and it's really exciting. And on top of that, I mean, the editor, I will say, is right. I think a lot of the time people will think of like editors as sort of like they might be messing with the artist's work, but editors, when you've got a good editor, they will often find things that are needed in the moment, and they can give the author not quite an outside perspective, but a little bit further on the perimeter perspective of what's going on. And I think the editor was right in this case. I mean, this might have been a dull arc, the archipelago. I mean, I know that by the end of the arc, it is absolutely bonkers and incredible. I think by the time this video is going out, my reaction to the end of the arc isn't quite out yet, but I've recorded it, and it is amazing. So I can't wait for you guys to see that reaction. But yeah, it is a seemingly dull arc. I was kind of like towards the start of the arc going, okay, this is going to be a bit of a downtime. It might be a little bit boring. I wonder how long we're going to be here. And like the addition of the 11 supernovas begins to elevate it to a much, much higher level to become like a beloved arc. And of course, so much other stuff that happens in that short arc also elevate it, but it is just absolutely incredible. So that is why the 11 supernovas is my number 5. My god, this is huge introduction. Oh, you seem cool. Trafalgar Law at number 4. Now, this very well could be some people's number 1, just as a lot of these could. But this is an amazing moment. That is the nothing happened moment from Zoro. He's just standing there. Look at all the viscera. Zoro, what the fuck? Now, you know, I feel like this might be very low for it. And as I said at the start of the video, any of these were in contention for number 1. I'm not just saying that. I genuinely mean this could have been number 1, but it's down at number 4 because I'm going purely by like how much it hit me. And so the nothing happened moment, this was a moment that stuck with me a little bit longer than I expected it to. When I watched that moment, I thought, wow, that was a really cool, badass Zoro moment. And then it took, like, for the next day or two, I was still thinking about the moment. And then the next week came around and I was like, man, that nothing happened moment was like fucking awesome. And I go back and I rewatch it, and the second time I watch it, I get like even more chills because I like have now taken in the context of everything that happened, you know? It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's great for Zoro. He's just an absolute badass, and we love moments where Zoro just gets to be incredible. Especially, you know, you have a lot of jokes with Zoro getting lost and stuff like that, and a lot of that sort of goofy stuff. And then sometimes out of nowhere, he will just come and be the coolest character in the history of media. Just completely out of nowhere, and then accept no praise for it, which is also what's great about Zoro's character. He's not doing it to impress other people. He's just an awesome guy all around. And so this moment of him basically taking all of that pain on, not just carefully, but he like dove into that pain, like that literal bubble of pain for his captain, without like assuming that no one else saw it, and not only assuming it, actively telling Sanji nothing happened. there was absolutely nothing. On top of that, it's a good meme. Like, people were telling me on, you know, the people were doing that classic meme of like, oh, Thriller Bark, that's the arc where nothing happens. And it's like, okay, great. So nothing happens in this arc, great. And then a lot of stuff's happening, and it's like, oh, well, no, this arc actually has a lot more going on. You know, I wouldn't say nothing happens. And then it gets to the end, you see that moment, you're like, that's what they mean by nothing happened. Because nothing happened. So it's a good meme, and that's always good, you know, whenever a moment is like really cool, but also works as a meme. I do think also, like, I'm tying this moment also in with earlier when Kuma like thought everyone was down and Zoro just came out of nowhere and slashed him. Huh? Holy shit! I remember that moment. I think I said in the reaction at some point, like, that might have been the coolest Zoro moment ever or something. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but that was one of Zoro's coolest moments ever, because it came out of nowhere and he seemed like an absolute badass. And on top of all of that, I think also the moment is great because it solidifies why Zoro is in the position that he is. Now, the show hasn't, the anime itself hasn't said he's like a first mate or a vice captain or anything, but like, a lot of people will consider him the first mate or the vice captain, and you know, in the live action they straight up call him the first mate. I have said in the past, like, I get him being the first mate. He definitely seems like a first mate, but at the same time, like, is he like vice captain material? I've had my doubts in the past of like, is he the guy that will be able to make the decisions when need be, you know? Is he able to do the right thing when no one else is around? Like, can he hold his own, essentially? Not in terms of combat ability, but in terms of making the right call. Because that's kind of what a vice captain's needed to be doing. And I've said, like, Nami's the one who, like, pretty much is smart enough to make the right call, you know? Like, when there was Eneru and she knew she was out of her depth with that, she was, like, wisely buying time and saying all the right things she needed to say when everyone else was down, and, like, trying to create a plan in her head. And that's the sort of thing that someone should do when their captain's not around. So I had my doubts earlier in the show. I think nothing happened got rid of those doubts. He knew what to do. He carried it out. He took all the responsibility on himself. That's a guy who can be second in command. I absolutely believe that. So that was an amazing moment. That's why nothing happened is my number 4. Okay, at number 3, a moment that is up this high purely because of the giddiness that I felt at this time, and that is the Water 7 reveals. Look at him. There's a reveal! So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, towards the end, actually at the end of the Water 7 saga, there's an episode or 2 or 3 that's just like reveal after reveal, and these reveals are things like Garp is Luffy's grandfather. Dragon is Luffy's father. Stuff about the 4 emperors. We get to see Kobe again. We get to see Helmeppo again, you know? There's just so much stuff happening in a short period of time. I think that is Kobe. Or is it? He looks fucking awesome. And this, like, this moment is up here. It's not really a singular moment, right? It feels odd to have it on the list because the other parts of the list are like, this is a moment in the show, and this is a section of the show. This is like a 1 to 2 episode span of the show, which feels strange, but I'm putting it up here because I remember that reaction video so fondly. I was having so much fun watching those episodes. That was such a good episode. That was so good. And I think there's so many things that contributed to that. These are reveals that are major for the characters. These are reveals that like make me excited for the future and the possibilities of where the story can go based on that. And these are reveals that come at the end of an incredible saga. Like the best, in my opinion, the best One Piece it had to offer so far as of that time in One Piece. Like I would say at that time, Water 7 was the best part of One Piece, in my opinion. Like it was my favorite part. And after all of that, you end with a huge bang. When you kind of expect it to peter out and just like to have episodes where not much is happening and they're just kind of celebrating. But instead, you have Garp arrive and drop reveal after reveal that majorly changes the lore. That's incredible. I love that. Oh my god. Is that Helmeppo? The blonde hair? No fucking way. So I remember these episodes were some of the most fun I've had watching anime in a long time. Like I was just having a wonderful time. It made me truly fall deeper and deeper in love with this show. And like, I know a lot of people, not a lot of people, a few people, I will say a handful of people, were really annoyed that I knew about the Garp reveal beforehand. Because I watched the live action and the live action reveals it during the live action. I've talked about this before, but I do think it's important to mention, this still made my top 3 moments, even knowing one of the reveals going into it. It still made it up there. And why is that? Because one, there was so much other stuff at the time that the Garp reveal was like a pinch of it, you know? Like that's a really cool thing, but there was a lot of other stuff going on as well that I was like equally or more excited for. What do you mean I heard you saw your old man? What? Saw you off at Logue Town? Wait, dragon? And 2, I actually was more interested after seeing the live action with how the anime goes about it. I was excited to see it regardless, and I don't think I would have cared as much about Garp if it weren't for the live action, because the live action made him a character that I really, really cared about, and in the anime, I didn't really care about him at that point. So I feel like this might actually be higher on my list because I knew of the Garp reveal beforehand, because I had more connection to it. But that's a personal thing. As I've said, this top 5 is stuff purely based on my own emotions. My job here is to try to communicate those emotions to you. That's kind of what the role of a reaction YouTuber is overall, is to not only watch a TV show, but be able to communicate what they're feeling to the video, whether that be through facial expressions, through things I say, through movements that I do, like anything really. But I don't think I can express enough how my heart felt, and it was warm and it was loved. Oda loved my heart. That's what happened in those moments, and that is why the Water 7 reveals were my number 3. At number 2, so these were very hard to choose. When this moment happened, I thought it was locked in the bag for number 1, and frankly it really could be number 1. But I've put it at 2 based on my own feelings for it. But the number 2 moment was Goodbye to the Going Merry. I didn't think I'd be crying about their ship. This was, I mean, of course this made it to the top 5. This was an absolutely beautiful moment. Incredibly emotional. This was really early in the 300s as well. Like, what episode did this happen in? It happened somewhere like 309 or something. Maybe 312. I don't know. It was somewhere in the 309 to 312 episodes, right? It was really early in the 300. And it made me cry, obviously. And like, the funny thing is, I think the top moment of each 100 so far that I've chosen have been the moments that made me cry the most. I think the top moment in the first 100 was the Nami, what's it called? Help me moment. The next one, the top one, was the Vivi goodbye, and then the next one was the Robin I Wanna Live. And all of those moments were moments that made me bawl my eyes out. So the Going Merry, if you were going based on patterns, this moment would have been number 1. Because this is the moment out of these 100 episodes that made me cry the most, obviously. And it did it because it was beautifully written. I am shocked that they made me cry over a boat. And I mean, I know that sounds dismissive and reductive of the moment and what Merry means to the crew. But I'm saying it because I liked Merry. I liked the Going Merry. I find the Going Merry really cool and important. But I wasn't emotionally attached to the Going Merry. Or at least I didn't think so. And so the whole arc, I was like, I get why the characters feel this way. I understand why they're upset. I'm not, but I understand why they are. And then that moment hit. I was watching it and I thought, this is very sad. But, you know, it's not going to make me cry, but it's sad. And then Luffy does the whole, Merry, I'm sorry. I should have done this. I should have done that. We should have been taking better care of you. And when Luffy does that, that's what gets me. And that's what I think would get a lot of people. Because it's not just about the Merry, it's about what the Merry means to them. And Luffy feels this captain's regret, which was the entire theme, in my opinion, of the Water 7 saga. The idea of this captain's regret, of the decisions the captain has to make. He had to make the decision early on to get rid of the Merry. He had to fight for that decision against Usopp. He had to, like, let Usopp go past that point, you know, and couldn't fight for him. He had to go through that whole arc trying to get Robin back after Robin left him, trying to decide whether or not he should even go for Robin, whether or not it's worth putting everyone in danger, going through Ennis Lobby, one of the most dangerous places you can go through, to get her back when she said she doesn't want to come back. Like, there's these moments about the captain's responsibility, and when like all of this fighting is done and we're properly saying goodbye to Merry, it comes out of Luffy this like emotion of this regret of that he didn't take care of the Merry well enough. And it made me so sad. It made me so sad. So like, that's just an amazing moment. The illustrations that were in that part of the show as well were beautiful. Like, each picture of the Straw Hat, they clearly took their time with all of them. Whoa, the drawings in this episode are fucking awesome. Voice acting, of course, was amazing. I mean, it's all just incredible. It was, there's not much more to be said. It was amazing. So that is my number 2. Now, I'm going to be going through, before I get to number 1, the honorable mentions. Moments that didn't make the cut to number 5, but really were really close. So those moments, and I'm going to go through them, were the Duval reveal, which was one of the funniest things that has ever happened in One Piece. Literally ever. I think maybe the funniest moment. Brook's song, that amazing, gorgeous, beautiful singing moment between everyone, including Brook's little solo, which made me cry. I love that. I really like that verse. Nightmare Luffy fighting against our boy Moria. I said our boy because I'd forgotten his name, but Nightmare Luffy fighting him, I mean, completely unexpected power up from Luffy, but a really cool moment nonetheless. Perona versus Usopp, a battle that I loved. Probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, like side battles in the entire series so far. It had a lot of great moments, and Perona is one of my favorite characters ever. So I really loved that. Ace versus Blackbeard. It's crazy that this one didn't make the top 5 either, because this was an incredible moment. But I mean, there was just so much stuff that got me very giddy, but this had to make the honorable mentions. And finally, Luffy third gear. I can't believe this made it, like this was literally episode 301 or something. It was very early in the 300s. But I gotta remember, Luffy third gear was revealed within these 100 episodes, and so that's honorable mention. So, now that we've gone through all of that, it is time to talk about my number 1 moment. Now, I'm going to say, the fact that all of these could have been switched around, this one might purely be up there, like might have just eked out to the top because of recency bias, possibly, but that's okay. I'm not a perfect human being, and I go with my feelings, and this was my feeling. The number 1 moment was Luffy's punch. Oh my god. Oh god! Luffy! Hachi's still trying to save him. I know Luffy punches a lot. I think we know the punch I'm talking about. This moment was... If I ranked these moments based on my emotions at the time, you might be thinking, okay, so Water 7 reveals got you very giddy, that's why it's up there. The Goodbye Mary got you crying, that's why it's up there. What did the punch do? Well, I screamed. Like, that was a moment where every bit of adrenaline in my body rushed into my heart at once. I had never felt that much hype while watching One Piece, and it wasn't like a battle. It wasn't a fight between 2 characters, you know? It wasn't beating up Crocodile. It wasn't taking down Gecko Moria. This was him punching like a guy who, like a really weak dude who's pathetic and lazy, and we hadn't known for that many episodes. So it is crazy that Oda was able to build up this moment as well as he did, but he did. It was an incredibly well done moment. What a fucking cool illustration that is. It was so deserved. The idea of hype, the emotion that I feel that I define as hype, is not an easy one to get out of me. I love so many shows. I would say I love like over 100 shows, like that I would put in the love category. And yet there aren't many of those shows at all that I would put in the hype category, that I would have felt a moment like that. There are very few. And One Piece, this was the moment it made that list of, no, this show can be pure hype. And there was many things that contributed to that moment. One is me being unsure what Luffy's gonna do. Because Luffy did make a promise, and Hachi reminded him of the promise, you know? Sometimes Luffy can keep a level head. Sometimes he can decide when violence is or isn't, you know, worth it. We know from previous episodes of, like, when people are making fun of them about the Sky Island, like, he keeps his cool. He learns from Shanks that violence isn't always the right answer. Now, of course, this was someone hurting his friend, so that's a different thing. because that is when he gets angry, when someone hurts his friend. But Hachi said to him moments before, like, you promise not to do this. So I thought maybe Luffy isn't going to do anything. And I didn't know what I wanted. And that's the amazing thing, is they early on in that arc, Hachi says to them, you can't do anything to the celestial dragons. You can't hit them. You can't you can't hurt them. Don't punch them in the face because you know, it will get us in major trouble, and I need you to promise me you're not going to do anything no matter what they do. The moment he said that, I knew Luffy was going to do something. I think I said it at the time. Like, of course, they're setting up for Luffy to do something, to have to step in. And yet, like, even knowing that, and even knowing that, like, him punching that guy would be a major problem for the crew, would put them all in a lot of danger, would possibly spell the death of all of the Straw Hats, you know? Even knowing that, I didn't know what I wanted leading up to it. I didn't know. I had no idea. What's he gonna do? I actually can't predict what he's gonna do now. On one hand, he did promise. On the other, if there's anyone that deserves it. And then he punches him. And I knew that's what I wanted. Like, in that moment, everything, every doubt I had, every worry, every concern I had faded away. It drained from my body because I went, that's what needed to happen. Holy shit! Oh my god. Like, a great story's ending, this is something that some you know, scholar said at some point. I don't know who it was, but a great story's ending, and I'm paraphrasing here, is an ending that is unexpected but inevitable. Like, when you look back at it after it's all completed, it was the only way it could have gone, but you still don't anticipate it at the time. This was that moment for me. After all of that talk, I thought maybe he might not do it. And when it was finished, I thought, well, of course he was going to do that. That's pure Luffy. It's brilliant writing. It was great animation. I mean, people always make that joke of, like, he punched him literally back into the manga because it goes, like, black and white. But it truly was incredible animation. It made me care about Hachi. Hachi! A character I thought I did not give a shit about. They made me love him. Really, really love him. Everything about it was so well done. And so because of that, that made my #1 moment of One Piece episodes 300 to 400. So there it is. Thank you so much for joining me for this countdown. I just did a lot of talking, so my voice is hoarse. So I'm gonna wrap it up there, but thank you for joining me. Please join me for the next 100 episodes, numbers 400 to 500. There could be a lot of good moments in these times. All the stuff they've been setting up in the episodes I've been watching on my Patreon lately tell me that this could be incredible. So make sure to stick around on this channel, subscribe to the channel, support the videos if you can, and go to my Patreon account if you want full-length early access and exclusive videos. I will see you guys in the next reaction. Goodbye.